The car market has flipped, and this time it's flipped in the wrong direction. Now, we have some of the most up-to-date information regarding used and wholesale vehicle prices, and the short-term data doesn't look great. But to really dive through this and to get the full picture of why this isn't a huge red flag, let's first dig into Manheim and see the data that they've presented for the month of August. Wholesale used vehicle prices were higher in August compared to July. The Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index increased to 203.9, and while this is a decline of 3.9% year over year, it's also an increase of 1.2% month over month, which obviously isn't great. And according to Manheim, wholesale vehicle prices increased every single week in the month of August, except for the last week. So generally speaking, the month of August saw increases across the board fairly consistently. MMR retention, which is a metric that we can look at in order to gauge what car prices are selling for in relation to what the car is technically worth according to MMR value. For example, MMR retention of 100% means that cars are selling for their true MMR value, while MMR retention of below 100% means they're selling for a discount, and above 100% means that they're selling for above their value, like what we saw in 2021, 2022, and 2023. But MMR retention in the month of August was at 98.9%, which means that cars were selling for a discount in comparison to their actual MMR value, which is a good thing. But MMR retention has been going up in recent months, and it has been getting closer to that 100% mark. And so this means that even though wholesale vehicles are technically selling for a discount, that discount has gotten smaller over the last few months. And when it comes to daily sales conversion rate, which is a metric that gives us some insight into the overall vehicle demand for the market, this rose by 4 points and is currently sitting at 63.3%. And not only is this 4-point increase month over month that we saw from July to August very high, but the daily sales conversion rate is also higher than historical averages for this time of year as well. For comparison, the daily sales conversion rate in the month of August of 2021 was at 55.7%. This year in August, it was at 63.3%. Now, when it comes to the 3-year-old index, which is an index that gives us some insight into what 3-year-old cars are selling for. And this is important because relatively speaking, 3-year-old cars make up a large percentage of the used car market. So seeing which direction 3-year-old cars are trending can give us some good insight into where the overall car market is trending. Well, for the month of August, the 3-year-old index saw an increase of 0.8%. Again, not a huge deal, but certainly not ideal either. Now, when we look at individual vehicle segments, you can see that the total car market, as I mentioned earlier, has declined by 3.9% year over year. And it probably doesn't come as a surprise to anyone watching this video, but electric vehicles are definitely the big loser, declining by 7.2%, significantly more than the average car market. And this is no doubt dragging down the overall car market because non-EVs have only declined by 3%. But electric vehicles aside, there are some very clear winners and losers here whenever we look at vehicle segments. Luxury cars, surprisingly, are the big winner. They've only declined by 2.9% year over year, which is a full percentage point less than average. While mid-size cars are right at average, declining at 3.9%, followed by SUVs and crossovers, which have declined by 4.3% year over year. Pickup trucks and compact cars are neck and neck for last place, with pickup trucks declining by 5.5% year over year and compact cars declining by 5.6%. It doesn't feel like it was that long ago whenever we would look at the individual body styles of vehicles and we would see 10, 12, 13% declines year over year. And now seeing this not only in the single digits, but in the low single digits really does prove the point that the car market is really beginning to level out, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I do think it's an interesting thing to note. But in order to dive into this a bit further, I would like to take a look at CarGurus Used Vehicle Value Index and see how these individual body styles, makes, and models are trending over the last year as well. You can see immediately that Manheim isn't the only metric that's showing that car prices have increased. And according to CarGurus, you can see right off the bat that over the last 30 days, car prices have increased by 0.29%. And if we look at this graph here that I filtered out to show roughly the last year from September 8th, 2023 to September 8th, 2024, you can see that we started off this period of time seeing sharp declines in the overall car market. Then we saw some slight increases and followed by some very slight decreases. And you can see that over the last roughly maybe 2 weeks or so, car prices have begun to increase once again, which is exactly what we've seen so far throughout this video. If we scroll down to individual body styles, you can see that it's a bit of a mixed bag. While coupes are the only body style that have seen increases year over year, but have also seen decreases in the last 30 days, looking at the last 30-day data, you can see that there are some body styles that have increased and others that have decreased. But for these body styles that have either appreciated or depreciated, the rate of appreciation and depreciation is really between 0 and 1%. So we're not really seeing huge swings in either direction. And to me, this is indicative that the car market is beginning to stabilize and level off. And the days of seeing very large swings in the last 30 and 60 days, I predict that those days are pretty close to over. If we scroll down to individual makes, you can see the similar thing. It's just a bit of a mixed bag, especially in the last 30 days. There are automakers that have gone up by a percentage point or two, and there are automakers that have gone down by the same amount. There are a couple of big losers and winners here, with Hummer being a big loser. The Wagoneer is probably what I would consider to be a loser as well. But cars like Buick, Chevy, Chrysler, these are cars that have gone up by a pretty healthy amount. And some cars that I would deem potential winners are cars like Hyundai, which have gone up by 1.51%, Kia, which has gone up by 1.27%, Lexus by 1.1%, Toyota by 1.17%, and surprisingly enough, Tesla, which has gone up by 1.28%. Tesla and Toyota both are even seeing 60-day appreciation as well. Now, to me, these appreciation and depreciation numbers that we're seeing is really indicative to a real problem that the car market is currently experiencing, which is that the car market is in a bit of a state of limbo. With interest rates still very high but on the cusp of going down, a presidential election coming up very soon, people are fearing that we may be on the brink of a recession, if not already in one, and cars are still incredibly unaffordable. And I think that these numbers that we're seeing with not only Manheim but also Car Gurus is really pointing to the fact that this is really true. The car market is a bit of a mixed bag right now because of all of these factors that I just mentioned. And until things start to fall into place with interest rates, whenever people get more clarity about the economy, and whenever cars get more affordable, I predict that we won't really see any large swings in either direction with the car market for the time being. Now, one thing that I always say in these car market breakdown videos that I make is that we can talk all day long about how much cars are worth and how much they theoretically should be selling for, but at the end of the day, nothing really matters until we look at what these cars are actually selling for in real life. What are cars being priced at? How long are they being listed for? And how many discounts are dealerships having to give before they sell these cars? And I think one of the best metrics to use in order to look at this is to look at vehicle listings in real life through platforms like cars.com. And you can see here that I've gone to cars.com and I've filtered out my search results to show what we may be able to find with something like a 3-year-old index. And similar to the results of Car Gurus and even Manheim, the results looking at cars.com are a bit of a mixed bag. We have cars like this 2023 Hyundai Sonata Hybrid SE, which has only 4,000 miles and has seen $2,092 in total price reductions in the last 41 days. But we also have this 2023 Hyundai Elantra SEL, which has 22,000 miles, which has actually seen a price increase of $971 in the last 60 days. Or we have something like this 2021 BMW 530e base model, which has just under 50,000 miles. This car has seen $3,400 in price reductions in the last 55 days. But then on the flip side, we have something like this 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe Cruze, which is actually brand new, which is selling for at MSRP and did see a price reduction at the beginning of the year, followed by a price increase a few months later. But we also have cars like the 2023 Ram 1500 Classic, which is a 2023 model but only has 12 miles, selling for nearly 10 grand below MSRP. And while this car definitely is priced below MSRP, the pricing history is a bit weird here as well, with the car seeing a $1,000 price reduction in August, followed by a $1,000 price increase a couple of weeks later. Even Tesla's an automaker that's pricing had been all over the place, are starting to level off a bit, and with this Tesla specifically, you've only seen a $1,000 price decrease. Now, I think that all of this data points to a very clear conclusion, and it's what I mentioned earlier on in this video, and that is, as we see here today at the beginning of September in 2024, the car market is not only a bit of a mixed bag, but it's also in a bit of a state of limbo. Between interest rates going down, a potential recession, the end of the year looming, and an election coming up soon, I just don't really think the dealerships know exactly where to price cars. And I think that while they don't really know where the car market is heading, they're going to try to hold steady on keeping prices relatively high. But on the other hand, I think that there are other dealerships that feel the exact opposite, and they are willing to give discounts in order to move their inventory, which is why you're seeing some dealerships doing multi-$1,000 price reductions and others not. I said it in a video a couple of days ago, but if I was looking to buy a car right now in 2024, I would simply wait. We are in a state of limbo, and I think that we will get out of that state here soon, but I would definitely give it a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months, and buy closer towards the end of the year. But that's just my 2 cents. And while it is my 2 cents, I do think that the data that we've reviewed in this video really supports that theory. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.